Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm Lexi. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my July wrap-up. Sorry it's a little bit late. We just started this channel. I'm very excited to get started. So in no particular order, here's my July wrap-up. Disclaimer, a couple of the books I read on my Kindle and one of the books I borrowed from Katey. So I don't have a few of them to show, but the first book that I read is The Unthinkable, Who Survives When Disaster Strikes and Why by Amanda Ripley. Little backstory on this, I guess. We had a couple officers come to talk to us at work a few months back. I think it was 2 years ago now. There was an active shooter situation at my job, or we thought at least. We were in lockdown for, I think it was 2 hours. We were like barricaded rooms. They were searching for the gunman and it was a whole thing. At the end, they determined it was a hoax. Somebody called and said they saw someone with a rifle, but it all turned out to be a hoax. However, the cops came around just a few months ago and recommended reading this book. It just shares a bunch of different stories about like natural disasters. It talks a lot about 9/11 in here, like tsunamis, hurricanes, things like that. It kind of is like not what I thought it was going to be. It goes into kind of like your psychological buildup of why we do what we do under like stress and in certain situations. So it was kind of an interesting read. I gave this book, I gave it 2 stars. I'm kind of, I don't know, it could probably be 2 to 3. It took me a while to read it. It was kind of hard to get through. Some parts were a little slower than others, but I really enjoyed the stories of like, there were some really cool stories from 9/11 and really cool stories from Hurricane Katrina. So if that sounds like something you would like, that's that book. Next, I read Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. I had started reading this and I was like, I feel like I've seen this movie, but I didn't really remember what it's about. And as I started reading the book, I was like, oh yeah, I've seen this movie. So I kind of remembered how it ended. I won't spoil it for you guys, but that kind of ruined the enjoyment of reading it because basically it's a man and a woman, and they're married, and the woman ends up missing in the beginning of the book, and they're trying to figure out what happened. You know, did she run away? Did somebody steal her from her home? Is this a murder? And the whole time they're kind of looking at the husband, trying to determine if he's guilty or innocent. So for me, I remembered how the movie ended, so it kind of ruined the book for me, but it was still a pretty good read. I gave this 3 stars out of 5. Again, I didn't like that I knew how it ended, so it kind of took away from the book for me. Next, I have Confess by Colleen Hoover. I don't think I've rated any Colleen Hoover book less than a 3 or 4 because I pretty much love every book I pick up. This one's pretty cool. It's about an artist and he makes pieces of art based on people's confessions. So like somebody could put, he has like a mailbox, it sounds like, that you like slip your confessions through. So somebody would put like, you know, like something about how they don't love their own kid or something. And he kind of uses that as inspiration to create these paintings. And then of course there's like a love twist in there too. I gave Confess 4 stars out of 5. And I deemed this my favorite book I read in July. I did read 8 books. So this and November 9 by Colleen Hoover were my top picks for July. So moving on to November 9, this book is about a boy and a girl, and I think it's like a fake relationship. I read this one earlier in July, so pardon my memory lapses, but it's a boy and a girl, and they decide to date, but they only see each other on November 9th every year. And obviously it turns messy, like I don't know. It's supposed to be like a fake relationship, like they're allowed to see other people, but I don't know. It was very interesting. And again, I love all of Colleen Hoover's books. She just writes really good romances. Let me go ahead and do one of the Kindle books. The first one I read was Panic by Lauren Oliver. Lauren Oliver wrote one of my favorite trilogies, Delirium. And so I've read a couple of her single books just because I really liked the way she wrote the trilogy. So this book is about a girl who lives in this town where after you graduate from high school, all the seniors participate in this game called Panic. Kind of like Survivor style. They compete in these challenges and then there are eliminations until one is deemed a winner, and I think it's like a $50,000 cash prize that you win at the end. These challenges are like life-threatening. Like one of the challenges is they have to cross a highway blindfolded, so you're only allowed to use like your hearing to make it across the highway safely. And like the cops in the town are always like on the lookout because they know about the game. Like it's supposed to be top secret. Like if somebody asks you about Panic, you're supposed to be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But the cops know about the game. They know that these kids get into trouble. Kids have died in the past playing this game, so they try to like shut it down. So it's kind of interesting. I gave that book 3 stars out of 5. Next, I read Normal People by Sally Rooney. I feel like I had seen this a lot on like Booktube and Booktok. I wanted to give it a go. I honestly don't even know if I remember what this is about. Let me read my notes on it. Well, I did only give this book 2 stars, and the notes that I made for it was it jumped all over the place too much. This is also a Hulu original series, but I didn't watch the Hulu series. I wrote that it was not swoony, and it sets place over several years. This is so embarrassing. I lost the rest of the footage on this book. But basically, I was just saying it didn't leave a lasting impression. I don't even remember it that well, so I don't really recommend this. I do think it was overhyped, and I didn't really like that it set place over several years. So that's all I have to say about that. On to the next one, which is A Court of Thorns and Roses, because that part got cut out too. Okay, I'm sorry. I had some technical difficulties, but again, this is the second book, and the book that I read was the first one. I haven't read any like fantasy books in a while, and Kitty really liked those books, so she recommended them to me. And I'm trying to, you know, open myself up to more genres besides just mysteries or thrillers and romances. So I gave that a shot. It does have some romance involved too, and I did really enjoy it. It's about fairies actually, which does not sound like something that I would like, but I gave it a shot and I actually enjoyed it a lot. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. So I do recommend that book. The last book that I read was also on my Kindle. It was called In the Unlikely Event by L.J. Shen. I don't remember this book either. Oh, okay, I remember it. It's about this girl, and she never met her dad, but she travels to Ireland, I believe it is, to visit her dad's gravesite because he just recently died. She never met him alive her entire life, travels out of the country for the first time to go visit his gravesite, kind of just like get some closure. This is when she's 16, and she meets this boy, and she and this boy make a contract on a napkin that they ever cross paths again in life. Regardless if they're married, have a girlfriend, whatever, they will leave whoever they're with to be with the person. So kind of silly, like they were 16 when they made the contract. The girl lives in America, the guy lives in Ireland. Like what are the odds they ever run into each other again? Of course they do, and that's where the story leads. I wrote that I like didn't like the twist at all. Like when you're reading the book, you can kind of tell, like, you know, those like subtle hints of like foreshadowing, like, oh, like something's not right here. Like when are we gonna find out what like this twist is? And I'm a sucker for a good twist, and I was just let down by this one, so I only gave it 2 stars. But in recap, Confess and maybe November 9 are the favorite books that I read this July 2021, and that's gonna wrap up this video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.